rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing
She's
songs. Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
Beyonce drunk in love?
I don't know. I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet. I'm telling you, this is Mariah's.
My own planet?
Yes,
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
Yo, this time, instead of Beyonce being criticized for stealing from other artists, many are discussing how she might have subtly eliminated Mariah Carey, the same artist she used to look up to.
Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. Very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just vision of love. Was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs, and I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of times, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it, and it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired.
Let us just state that this is all alleged before the Beyhive gets excited. However, honey, fire is always present where smoke is present. I mean, isn't Beyonce claiming that because she would go to gigs and grab everything, no one wanted to invite her?
Nobody gonna want us to go to their shows, Frank.
What?
Because we gonna take everything. Everybody does. No, everybody does. But we go and meet everybody, say, hey, great show, and then still
Do you know who is claiming that Beyonce diluted Mariah Carey's reputation in the industry? Jennifer Lopez, that is. I realize that J-Lo should definitely be the last to discuss anyone undermining Mariah Carey, but what the heck? Let us get started immediately. Okay, actually, if you go back in time, you will see Beyonce praising Mariah Carey as if she were the epitome of vocal brilliance. We are discussing pure admiration. Furthermore, Bey has openly stated that Mariah was the inspiration behind her decision to pursue music. She has also publicly said that hearing Vision of Love was a turning point in her life, the moment that confirmed, yep, this is what I want to do. If you delve deeper, you can find old interviews and video recordings of young Beyonce subtly fangirling over Mariah Carey's presence and singing prowess. I am not sure if the adulation reached the point where Beyonce actually desired to take Mariah Carey's position, but I have seen many speculate that it would be feasible due to the musical similarities between the two artists. The so-called surprise album strategy, for example, has always been discussed. You see, the Beyhive accused Mariah of stealing Beyonce's groundbreaking 2013 self-titled album, just as she was getting ready to release her own album, Me I Am Mariah, the elusive chanteuse. However, several fans took the opposite stance, claiming that Beyonce may have really taken some inspiration from MC's behind-the-scenes tactics, and that Mariah had long been discussing reimagining her album releasing methods. In the 1990s, when Beyonce was just starting out, Mariah was combining vocal acrobatics with sophisticated visual branding, as well as more subdued elements like glam and a diva image. Some admirers have drawn attention to the uncanny similarities between some of Beyonce's outfits or performances and previous Mariah moments. In essence, the accusation is that Beyonce stalled Mariah's development by using her power to make more space for herself, something she has been accused of doing with a number of other singers. A demo of Jennifer Armour's song Got a Little Bit of Love for You was reportedly given to Beyonce's record label Columbia Records back in 2003. She felt the song sounded incredibly similar when she heard Baby Boy on the radio a few months later. In the end, Jennifer lost her claim because she was unable to convince the judge that Bey actually heard her song first. Did you see the incredible choreography for her Formation World Tour as well? According to reports, Beyonce also took that from a struggling dance group. In a long Instagram post, choreographer Marlon Ortiz even criticized Bey for taking dance steps from her troupe's performance, De La Guarda, stating that although inspiration is good, she and her struggling co-workers would have at least appreciated a little recognition. Speaking of choreography, Gwen Verdon, the late dancing legend and choreographer Bob Fosse's wife, kind of stole the show when she choreographed Beyonce's Single Ladies. Bey said that Bob was the inspiration after being criticized during an appearance at 106 & Park. However, the dances have been commonly attributed to Beyonce, even though Bob Fosse deserves more credit. She also drew influence from Belgian choreographer Anne Teresa de Keersmaker for her Countdown music video. In order to demonstrate just how much was copied, fans actually created side-by-side comparison videos. And simply look at the parallels. It is insane. For her album B-Day, Beyonce also covered the Des'ree song Kissing You, renaming it Still in Love. Kissing You, and giving herself credit as the song's author. Beyoncé re-recorded the song and even created a music video, but a deal to utilize it never materialized. Des'ree consequently demanded that the song's circulation be effectively halted and that $150,000 in damages be awarded. There was even a long Twitter conversation about how Bey has taken many of Madonna's ideas. Additionally, she performed Somebody Like Mariah.
I would say she was the original Beyonce. Beyonce stole her steez.
Oh, you think so?
Look at Crazy in Love video and look at A. Marie.
Fall in love.
Fall in Love.
The problem is that Ameri enlisted the assistance of producer Rich Harrison, who has previously worked with J-Lo and Beyoncé when she was working on her second album in 2004. It seems that Rich and his group completed One Thing, the lead single from the second album, in about 1 to 3 hours. However, the song was turned down when they submitted it to Columbia, Ameri's record label. For months, they actually refused to accept any of the versions that Ameri and Rich supplied them. Ameri claimed at the time that her sound was just not understood by Columbia Records personnel. Now, take note of the lines "did not get it," as it is where the tea about her sound being taken is found. Beyoncé comes in. Well, Beyoncé explained that the horn hook was the reason Crazy in Love was successful when she discussed the song's creation, saying, "It has this go-go vibe to it, this old school feel. I was uncertain if it would be understood." Recall that Ameri said that her music, which likewise had an old school go-go vibe, was not understood by others. The Beyhive, however, disputes that Bey stole Ameri's song, particularly because Crazy in Love came out before One Thing. However, Rich Harrison produced Ameri before Beyoncé, and while he was still working with Ameri, he had Crazy in Love. Therefore, the likelihood that he worked on Crazy in Love for Ameri first is rather likely. Furthermore, a song may not have been composed and recorded first just because it was released first. Long before then, Ameri's tone may have been taken. In essence, Ameri and Rich developed their own musical style that was influenced by the go-go of Washington, D.C., where she was born. Ameri's career was eclipsed by Beyoncé's style once her people or she herself heard it. I will not even start with the claims that Beyoncé attempted to ruin Rihanna's career, honey. Do you believe Beyoncé attempted to undermine Normani as well? Because Beyoncé's name also frequently comes up when discussing how Normani is not as well known as she ought to be. Nevertheless, in light of all these instances, some have expressed a sense that Beyoncé might have utilized her power to ruin Mariah's career. J-Lo has reportedly been talking openly about Mariah's sabotage behind the scenes. There are also many who argue that, given what she did to Mariah Carey, J-Lo ought to be the last to expose someone for theft. Remember how Mariah got a sample of Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 song Firecracker to utilize for her single Loverboy while she was working on the movie Glitter and experiencing problems with her ex-boyfriend Tommy Mottola. And when she heard the song she had acquired for her album on J-Lo's record, she was as surprised as everyone else. The problem is that, although J-Lo was already somewhat famous due to her appearance on In Living Color, she had a flaw. She could not start singing because, well, she was not a very good singer. She was also unable to get on Broadway due to her poor acting and singing skills. Next up is Tommy Mottola, who was previously married to Mariah but had a troubled marriage. Mariah wanted to leave the marriage and her contract with Sony since it had gotten to that stage. Tommy, however, was not going to let her go that lightly. Tommy sent J-Lo a song she had already recorded, Loverboy, in an attempt to annoy Mariah. He actually put Mariah's version on hold and made J-Lo's version available. In her book, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, Mariah even discussed how this impacted her, saying, "Much of what went wrong with Glitter led back to Tommy. He was angry about the divorce and my departure from Sony, and he used all his power and connections to punish me. There was no way he would allow me to have a huge success after leaving him and Sony. He was not going to let me or Glitter shine. After hearing my new song using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label, whom I don't know. For this reason, when questioned about other female singers in the industry, Mariah said, "Beyoncé is nice and a brilliant writer." But when asked about Jennifer Lopez, she said, "I do not know her." Since then, she has insisted that she doesn't know Jay.
Rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs. Yeah, and I've been doing this, you know, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
In a Talk Magazine story, Mariah even made fun of the claim that J.Lo does not sing her own songs by claiming that she only gets 3 hours of sleep every night. In response to J.Lo's assertion that she slept for 8 hours, Mariah said, "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too." Guys, I am not sure. Perhaps J.Lo is trying to win back MC's favor by bringing up Mariah's sabotage. However, why is she also criticizing Beyonce in the process? Perhaps the divas are working on something else behind the scenes. I am still unsure of what that might be, but I would really like to hear your thoughts, so please share your thoughts below.